Hi, I'm Steven Stamp. I'm the editor for Inside Lacrosse's IL Indoor site, and I'm really enjoying the genesis of Inside the World of Box Lacrosse with Adam Levy and Greg Beecher here on Blue Squatch Productions. Thanks for being with us. Check out the link to the full show below.
Welcome back to Inside the World of Box Lacrosse. Stamper with me, Adam Levy, Greg Beecher. We are going to be talking about rookies now around the National Lacrosse League, particularly the two star-studded rookies who we got to see in Week 1 in Dyson Williams and Brendan O'Neill. So, Stamper, what did you think of those two guys?
I thought it's interesting. You see the first games for Brendan O'Neill. I think it was kind of what we expected, right? Did some great things. Looked like he's learning the game, which he has said quite clearly to you that he has. You did a great profile on him or a feature on him on IL Indoor, which everyone get the IL Indoor app. You go to the site, get the app. It is the best way, I think, to access it. Greg Beecher was telling us, "Holy cow, there's an app! It's great." I love that, right? So go to the app, and I think O'Neill did some great stuff, and we saw the size and the skill and the athleticism. I think Dyson Williams, it really reminded me of Jeff Teat's first game in Major Series Lacrosse. I remember watching that, and we all knew how great Jeff Teat was going to be. And his first game, he was just meh. He wasn't really sharp. He didn't look like he was confident. Looked like he was just getting used to that level. And I remember saying, because I was doing broadcast of the second game, Brampton was playing in Peterborough. And I said, hey, it takes a while for everybody. And for Jeff Teat, it turned out to be 4 periods because he had 4 goals by the end of that first game in Peterborough, second game in MSL. And Dyson Williams, I think, was similar, that he looked a little bit like he's getting his feet wet and finding it. And it was interesting. I thought Alex Simmons who was last year's Rookie of the Year, was almost forcing things a bit early in the game and trying to really feed Dyson Williams, really trying to draw him in to the offense, which I don't think is necessary, but you can see that's a leadership thing for Simmons, wanting to get him involved. And I thought it was cool the way Simmons later in the game was like, "I'm just going to make things happen."
Yeah,
and he did. And that involves everyone in the team, right?
Yeah, I think you're totally right, Stamper. I think that it was a situation where everyone on the Firewolves, they've known what Dyson is going to be, and they want him to succeed. And so there was a lot of, feeding him the ball. And you even see that, Dyson was trying. If there's one thing that really stands out, and I think it led all rookies, was the fact that he did get 9 shots on goal. Of course, only 1 hitting the back of the net, but you want to see a shooter shoot, and he can do so much more than that. But once he starts finishing and once he starts feeling more comfortable, it's going to be great. And you saw the nerves also in the amount of turnovers. 5 turnovers. You don't want to see that. That puts him on pace for 90, which would be way too high for a rookie. But I think, as you were mentioning, Dyson, everyone's known what he's going to be for so long. It might take a game or two, but he's going to get there, and I don't think anyone has any doubt in that.
I think the one moment that he'd probably like back from that game was late when it was 8-all, and there's a shot, it goes bouncing back, and he races back. You love the effort. He hustles back defensively, or defensive transition, goes up and swats back into the Albany offensive zone, so they avoid the over and back. But awareness of what was going on, they had a player up ahead. He swats it straight to another Saskatchewan player who throws it ahead, and they get the goal that puts them ahead. And in that circumstance, and it's so easy to say from watching from outside and afterwards, but he would have been better off to just grab the ball, take the over and back, put it down, and step back a couple steps. That takes 2-3 seconds and gets some people out, gives your team a chance to defend that breakaway possibly. So
totally. You know that those guys like Dyson and others, they're so studious. Exactly what you just mentioned. I'm sure as soon as that happened and the game was over, that was something he was replaying in his head and how to avoid that and change that. So I think that the great ones know how to make adjustments, and I think that Dyson is going to be one of those great ones.
So Dyson Williams was both of our picks, along with Cooper Perkins on the IL Indoor preseason picks. We went with some dark horses. I had Brock Haley, so I want to talk about him from that game. He did exactly what I expected: score a couple of goals, get some assists. He just looked ready to go in the National Lacrosse League. It certainly doesn't hurt that he's been coached by Derek Keenan for quite a while, and now he is again. Comes up through that Whitby system, and there's a lot of connections there, and he looked great.
Yeah, I mean it was a phenomenal performance from him, particularly in the second half. I was actually on the radio with Cody Jansen at halftime talking about Brock Haley, and I think he only had one shot on goal and a couple off. And then in that third quarter, he had two goals, really came alive, assisted on the Shanks OT winner. He was definitely excellent. It was really great to see him step up. And I know that we've had conversations about the fact that Haley is one of those guys that he's proven to be an absolute beast scoring, especially in the junior box game. And so for him to kind of get into that rhythm in the first game was very exciting to see.
Are there any other rookies that you mentioned actually? Well, Trent DeChico came up, and you talked about him. Are there other guys around the league that in week one kind of caught your attention?
Well, yeah, I do want to, if we're talking about Trent DeChico, I think the combo, and this isn't necessarily for Rookie of the Year, but what you saw from Trent DeChico and Adam Noakes, Noakes is a rookie, although he was a 2022 draft pick. I think it was phenomenal. Combined a goal and 6 assists. I mean, for your young guys to be producing like that was great, and the effort that they put forward was phenomenal. I think that they were both great rookies. When I think about who else was a great rookie, I'd have to actually look at who really stood out with me.
I've got a couple. If I
Yeah.
can jump in, and you were in Albany. You got to see Will Johansson, who, of course,
Oh, of course, right.
we've talked about, was excellent. He's already come up, but I was in Ottawa for the first game of the Black Bears era in Ottawa, and two guys that stood out for me. One, no surprise. One, a tiny surprise, was Jake Stevens and Reed Kurtz, the righty and lefty transition players for Ottawa. Stevens, high draft pick a couple of years ago. They actually made a trade to get that pick, and he went back to school for a year. Reed Kurtz, I figured would be good, but I wasn't sure if he would be ready right away. But I thought they both looked really comfortable, really solid, both very comfortable clearing the zone and really poised in the offensive zone. They didn't push, like they'll go. They'll both go if there's a chance for transition, but they both did a really nice job of pulling up and getting the ball, usually to Jeff T coming onto the floor when there wasn't transition. So I thought they both looked quite good.
Yeah,
In that.
when I was talking to Coach Sawyer of the Toronto Rock, Coach Matt Sawyer, obviously with the injuries they have, but one that stood out to me, in that Ottawa game was Brian Cameron. Great to see him get an opportunity. Obviously, when guys go down unexpectedly or have other commitments, you're going to be able to get those opportunities. So it was really nice to see him kind of stand out there. And I think that he was definitely really good. It was great that you mentioned Reed Kurtz. I had actually spoken to Ty Kurtz in Albany after that game, and he had said he had watched his brother's game, thought he did very well. So not that he would say his brother didn't do well, but Reed.
He would.
Oh, well, that's good to know.
Yeah, I think so.
So it was good to see him. Obviously, a lot of promise around him, and there's so many Delaware guys now in the league that are really coming up. It's exciting to see both Kurt's brothers doing their thing.
A couple of young lefty forwards. Peyton Cormier did make his debut. He was a guy that you were saying was right in that mix for Rookie of the Year, and obviously not a really notable opening game for him, but much like Dyson Williams, he's going to be there. That's going to come. Braden Maillet, we'll see what happens in Calgary. They've got all those lefties, but he's a guy they're really high on, very high pick this year in the draft. A righty that I know we're both pretty excited to see what he can do is Caleb Benedict in Georgia, who was drafted at the end of the first round 2 years ago. Didn't go back to school. He actually sat out all of last year with injuries, and now he is active, and I think it's going to be pretty fun to see what he can do. I don't know about Rookie of the Year conversation, but I think he's going to be an exciting player to watch.
Yeah, and before I just mentioned something about Caleb, one player who we didn't mention who was going to be, I believe, my dark horse for Rookie of the Year was Adam Poitras, who again had one of those understated games, not exactly what you would expect from him, but that is no indication of what I think he's going to be and what we believe he's going to do this season. So it'll be interesting to see his development in Las Vegas. But with Caleb, yes, and we've spoken about this a ton. Such a nice guy. But one of the most interesting things for me is that we see a lot of Indigenous players come into the league, and the fact that he's actually from Onondaga, where the Thompsons are, and grew up watching them and being around them and seeing them, it's going to be really cool and such a special moment for him to play on the team with them. But yeah, you don't see a lot of Onondagan players come up since the Thompsons all came in, so I'm excited to see how he fits in there.
And I need to double check this, but I think Caleb Benedict and the Thompsons are cousins. So I remember doing PLA games down in upstate New York and talking to the mother of a player, and I feel like it was Caleb, talking about their cousins, and talking about Dee, the mother of the Thompsons, who was around sometimes. And but yeah, no, he was so excited at the draft when he got taken by Georgia. He was there with his son, and he's such a great kid. He was talking about his son is named after him, Caleb Jr., and he was saying, I just want to make the name worthy of being honored. And I thought that was beautiful. We'll wrap it up for the awards section. We're going to come back, and we just finished talking about Caleb Benedict. We're going to take a look at the Georgia Swarm as a whole when we are back on Inside of the World of Boxing Cross with Adam Levy and Steven Stamp here on Blue Squatch Productions.
Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening. For Stamper, Greg Beecher, I'm Adam Levy for Inside the World of Box Lacrosse. Make sure to check out the entire episode on Blue Squatch's YouTube.